I know where we're going because I did the programming, so I knew it was going to be ugly. So
Okay. So we should title this, I knew it was going to be ugly.
Yes.
On a Wednesday,
That's right.
we squat, press, and deadlift on a Wednesday. The title of this is, I knew it was going to be ugly.
Yes.
Set the stage. It's a Wednesday. We always squat, press, and deadlift on a Wednesday.
Correct.
This past Wednesday, we squatted and deadlifted, and then our press was a very simple and short workout, teams of 2 minutes on sit-ups with a partner doing 2 minutes of a double dumbbell overhead walk, just a walk back and forth, 40 feet down, 40 feet back, or however many feet they walked. And then they little rest, and then they switch, little rest, they switch, little rest, they switch. So they each got 2 rounds of 2 minutes of sit-ups and 2 minutes of this overhead walk. And so one of the coaches during the very first class came up and said, so-and-so's not got her elbows locked out on the overhead carry. She was still pretty balanced over the midline.
She was.
But her elbows were unlocked for sure.
Right.
And I looked around at the rest of the class and I was like, and neither's his, and neither's hers, and neither's hers, and neither's hers. And so it's kind of funny because if you've ever tried to keep, speaking of people of advanced age, to be able to keep their arms overhead locked out and bear any kind of weight or even no weight for an extended period of time, it's difficult. We know that 50% of our 50% of our 95 or so members are, they do not have full shoulder range, defined as, it was funny, it connected with an athlete. He's like, what do you mean by full shoulder range? I'm like, 180 degrees of shoulder flexion. He's like, oh, okay, gotcha. So full shoulder range, 50% of our people do not have it. So imagine programming a double dumbbell overhead walk. We expected in our prescribed version of the movement would be both shoulders fully extended and elbows locked out and the dumbbell balanced on the shaft.
Yeah.
And more than 50% of our people couldn't do that. And so she was right. She said her arms aren't locked out. I'm like, you're right. They're not. Like, here we go again. But then I don't think I could have done it. We only had one person that had 20-pound dumbbells. She's 60. How old is Coach?
66.
She's 66. She's one of our coaches. She had the most beautiful double dumbbell, locked out overhead walk, both 2 minutes, 20-pound dumbbells. And there's probably only 1 or 2 maybe that I saw that were really good. So the question to pose to people who want to coach seniors is, in the overhead position, over their version of all the way overhead, locked out or not locked out, this would have been an isometric. They just happened to be walking. Talk about the benefits versus the risks of allowing. We had people all the way from holding 1 pound change plates, just holding little incremental plates overhead, 1 pound each. Talk about the benefits of allowing that, why you would allow it, risk versus reward.
Yeah, so this too is it's a great topic to discuss. Mm-hmm. You know that my most sensitive area now of the human body and training functionally is the shoulder, and specifically the AC joint, the acromioclavicular joint. I think that the shoulder is such a hot spot is because we also know that most of our athletes have a forward head. We know most of our athletes probably have started to develop that impingement area on the AC, little tethering of the supraspinatus, and also we know that they have that thoracic kyphosis. So everything prevents them from getting their shoulders up.
And he's working against us.
And it's and
you as coaches.
Yeah, and having said that, let's also say that this is not just one snapshot in time, that we are constantly working on their overhead.
Right.
I think what was a bit funny to watch, as I know you saw it, is they're thinking, well, I can push press a 20-pound dumbbell.
Right.
Yeah, but it's 2 20s and you got to hold it overhead.
Yeah.
And now you have to walk, and we don't want you to lean back and hyperextend. And it was fun.
It was awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome. And there was this mad rush, if you remember, to the dumbbells.
Yeah.
after
lower
the
the
round
load.
to
Yeah.
lower the load.
Yeah.
But to answer your point, which is the question, the question really is, hey Ed, is that safe, and should they do that? Well, I just preface that we know as coaches the shoulder's a hot spot. I also preface that we are constantly looking at and working on pulling and pushing and working on that. Getting now to the root of the question, I think that walking while stacking, keeping your head up so you see where you're walking as opposed there, that challenges many joints of the body, and therefore I think it's functionally necessary to do it.
For balance.
For balance.
As well as shoulder, yeah.
For balance. I also think, and I think a lot of people that might see this video would agree, who's done this for a while, having something to push against, a little tension so that you maintain tension, very often that helps to accentuate that movement a little bit better than not having any weight.
Yeah.
A lot of the naysayers would say
feedback.
a little bit of feedback.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. Little approximation. So I think that's really important. Where the sarcastic smiles break out is when you have literally somebody grabbing a 15 or 20 pound dumbbell in each hand and trying to do it. That quickly goes off the tracks really quickly. And so that's where I would say, hey, look, you are so far forward, your elbows are so far bent. You saw people who are just walking in front.
Score!
Yeah,
I know.
some people are just doing farmer's carries at the end. So I like the movement for them. I think that athletes have become educated now to say, hey, look, 2 minutes back and forth of this is really rough. Don't forget too why we do it with dumbbells versus just a PVC pipe. The PVC pipe enables you to cheat asymmetry.
We talked about how much some of the athletes in the later class were like, this would be so much easier with a barbell. I'm like, of course it would. You know, your weaker arm is being pulled back in place by your stronger arm. Of course it was. But imagine the logistics of 20 people carrying barbells back and forth down the gym. So A, that was not possible, and B, the unilateral, individual dumbbells was more difficult, more challenging, and kind of exposes the weak and the strong side as well.
Yeah, I think for me too, everything that you and I do now in programming, we always want it to be fun. We always want it to look like we all were when we were 17 years old in the gym. But everything that we try to do, we try to apply to function. And you know, a gallon of water weighs 8 pounds. People are making choices at the grocery store of what they can pick off the shelf. People are making decisions at home where they put their dishes, where they put their Christmas decorations, because they can't raise a load overhead. They live by themselves. And so, you know, we can attack that. Is that too aggressive? Is that too progressive? Well, we're there to make sure we modulate them accordingly. But I do think that particular drill is a good functional drill that they need to be able to work on.
Also, when they failed, they failed. So when they couldn't hold it up anymore, they're within a 2-minute window, they brought it down and they sort of laughed at it like, oh my gosh, this is so hard. And I will say too, it's an isometric movement for the shoulder. The walking and balancing with 2 independent loads overhead was great for balance. They were doing it in a group. They were having fun. They were competing with each other. So when they brought the dumbbells down or they had to rest, they laughed and they looked at their partner and they're like, oh my God, this is so hard. Older people doing hard things that are like leaning into it. What did Kathy say as one of the slogan ideas? Something or not. Oh gosh, what was it?
Work harder or
work harder or not.
Yeah.
So like when you get a bunch of people like starting to herd and the work harder on that, they had such a blast with that. But, and I will have inserted some videos, some of the ugliest stuff we've seen in some of the classes, but when it was super ugly, it was light enough that it was safe.
Agreed.
But if you don't challenge them in that range ever for that period of time, which was 2 minutes and while walking, then when will they ever be challenged to, you know, reach high, like you said, into a cabinet and have to step down off of a step? I mean, we've got tall cabinets up here and we're getting older. I'm not moving all my stuff to the lower cabinets. That's why we have tall cabinets. So anyway, it was a really good drill. I hope I get some good videos inserted.
Cool.
But as a coach, you just have to realize, not of seniors, everything's not going to be pretty. and is your progression safe and progressive? Will it progress into something? That would be up to you, keeping your athletes for a long enough period of time to see them go from ugly to prettier to, wow, that's just fantastic.
Yeah, and that last couple sentences was actually the perfect summation. I think my point to follow up that, which I say to the athletes all the time, is, you know, if you're not going to do it in a safe environment with me,
Yeah.
you're never going to do
It's
it.
true. It's true.
So do it
Yep.
with me. Let us
Yep.
guide you. Let us watch you.
Yep.
And let's get better at it.
Yep.
So perfect.
Agree.
Yeah, good. Thank you for doing that.
Okay.
I like it.
Bye.
Bye.